What's going on, YouTube? It's Fish Freak Phil. I got some things to talk about. Um, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell. This channel is all about my experience in reefing and how I run my tanks. Hopefully, you will learn from my mistakes. I can assure you that. And hopefully, I do some good things that you do like. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe, like, comment. I always get back on my comments to y'all in my comments. But man, I made some mistakes. Anyway, let's get into the video because I got a bit I need to share with y'all. Oh man. All right, YouTube. Story goes like this. I used to never really test, here and there when things kind of didn't really look right, I would test, and I was starting to ramp up my testing a little bit more and often. But it just felt like the biggest thing, I didn't have Hannah checkers, so I was using a lot of the testing kits that you have to, that was more manual work. Than like the Hannah checkers. They are a godsend. If you don't have them, get them. They make the testing so much easier. You get a number. To make a long story short, I wasn't really doing a whole lot of testing anyway. Fast forward a little bit. I start, a tank. I change over to an Aquapora dominant tank, right? So this is about September. Add some corals in there. Corals are starting to do well. And I got these little mini colonies. And at the time, I started the tank with the 3 AI primes over top. I got a Radon XR15 for my dream tank build. I'm slowly getting things to getting them together. I decide, something, I know everything is going well. Mistake number 1. Let me just change the lighting, put the XR15 over top of it. Put the XR15 on top of it. Did pretty good in terms of, before I didn't just toss it up there and switch them out. I use my, I have a par meter I use for the, what's it called? I forgot what they call it. The Senai. Thank you. The Senai, I bought it specifically to use it as a par meter. Works really good as a par meter. Took my par readings before I switched out the lights. Put the XR15 in place. Adjusted it so it's very similar in terms of par reading, and left it at that. Corals adjusted fine. No real issue there. Honestly, I shouldn't have touched it. Lesson learned, right? Tank is looking good. Now we fast forward from September to November 2020. Now this is when the Hydros Control 4 drops. First weekend, on it. Got it, hooked it up. Nice and easy, love it. I have it actually running on all my tanks now. Another video, but I have it on here. But now I have a pH probe that's telling me my pH, right? So I'm looking at my pH, okay, it looks good. And as time goes on, these corals are doing great. But I'm noticing my pH dropping. I'm not really testing. So I'm not really testing alk and stuff like that, even though I'm dosing 2-part. Dumb, I know. So now mind you, there was some algae growing, right? Some green hair algae, but I wasn't worried about it. It wasn't bad. I figure, some water changes, some manual removal, be good to go, right? Big mistake. I was lackadaisical about dealing with it. So what happened was, I wasn't doing water changes like I normally do. Can't tell you why. I just was infatuated with this tank. I'm looking at acros grow, and I had like little mini colonies. They looked great. Had a huge red Montipora in the middle there that was just growing like mad. Then I started noticing little things as I'm looking at the tank. Now, I finally kill off the green hair algae, right? And then suddenly, there's an explosion of this red. The only thing I can call it is red brush algae. It basically covers all of the coralline algae all over the tank. I have no clue what it is. Like, you do any kind of Google search for red algae, you get red slime algae. It's not what it is, red cyanoalgae. That's not what it was, I know this, I've dealt with it before. It's not that. This was very much like a very short, bushy, like almost like green hair algae, but it's more, just by looking at it, it looks stiffer, right? But it only grew over the coralline algae. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is an advanced level coralline algae. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen I've been in a hobby, 4 or 5 years. I haven't seen everything yet. So I'm like, okay. Now, the one thing I do know, I knew exactly where it came off of. I had a little frag of strawberry zoanthids. These were like these are some of the first zoanthids I had. They never grew for nothing at all. And I had them in 3 different tanks, and that little frag didn't grow for anything. Had them in that tank, and on that frag was a little bit of this red brush algae. I didn't think anything of it. It's been in a tank, 3 different tanks. It never grew. The zoanthids never grew. Figure out, can't be nothing serious, right? Whatever. Put it in this tank. The zoanthids get happy. They start to grow. Well, I don't know if it said, hey, brush algae, red stuff, let's go. Suddenly, it was explosion all over the tank. So I'm like, what the heck? What is this? Looking, I'm killing myself, like searching. Nobody can tell me what it is. So I take a couple pieces. I take a little sample, bring it to my LFS, 2 different LFSs. They're like, it's doesn't, it looks like some type of macroalgae or something like that. I'm like, great, but nothing's eating it. Nothing's eating it all. So I decide, well, something, I'm starting to get panicked because I have something growing in my tank. I don't know what it is. Now I'm starting to test more because, I have the controller. I'm starting to test now, and my alk is dipping low. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm getting I measured down to 6.4. I'm like, okay, the corals look fine, but my alk is saying 6.4. Not really where I want to be. Although I've always tried to stay away from chasing numbers, right? They say don't chase numbers, but we all know there's a range of things that things just do better in. 6.4 is not somewhere I really want to be, and probably you either. So I changed my dosing pump, so I'm dosing more alk now. So I changed it to, I think I was dosing about 4 milliliters. So I slowly increase it, right? I dose it and I was dosing 2 milliliters. Originally it was 1 milliliter, and then I went up to 2 milliliters. I got to the point where I was dosing 4 milliliters per day in there, and not just in one dumping. So it was spread out 4 doses of 1 milliliter throughout the evening, right? Some calcium, the opposite schedule. One day I'm just noticing, dumb mistake. So I up my what I'm dosing. Dummy, you have to fill the container, right? Guess who forgets to fill the container? This guy. Sure enough, as I'm battling this algae, we'll get back to the algae part in a moment, but I noticed that my alk container, one day I go in there, put water in my ATO, I look at the alk container. Alk container is dry. When I say dry, I mean like it is bone dry. Like I don't know how long it's been dry, but it is dry. Like Sahara Desert dry. So I have no clue how long this has been. So I'm like, okay, I just gotta top it off, right? Top it off. I probably should have reduced the dose back down to 1 milliliter, right? Because I don't know how long it's been without dosing the 4 mils. The very next day, I look at the tank and every single coral is pissed. Like, I mean, pissed. Like, they're gray, colors are dull. I immediately like, damn. Yeah, I knew exactly what it was. I'm like, great. So I immediately did a 50% water change on the tank. Lowered my dosing back to 1 mil. They eventually colored back up, but they weren't. It took a couple weeks for the colors to kind of come back for that. While this is happening, with that, I'm also battling the algae. We didn't forget about that, did we? So I'm trying to balance algae. So I decide, guess what? I'm going to dose some Vibrant. I know Vibrant kills some algae. It's worked for me before. I had bubble algae. Killed bubble algae. Have not seen it in these tanks since using it. Perfect. Use Vibrant. Start using it. And nothing's happening. Okay, so let me double down on a dose. Nothing's happening. Then 2-3 weeks into this, I get cyano or red. Now I actually get red slime algae, right? So I'm like, okay, I have something for it. I have ChemiClean. I'm just making mistake after mistake, dosing crap after crap without taking a second to like pause and think about a real course of action of like, what am I actually trying to do, right? In reality, this brush algae, although it was all over the tank, all over the coralline algae, it never touched any of the corals. As a matter of fact, it would bump up against corals and give way to the corals. Because although I had the alk issue, the corals were growing. They were growing fast to the point where I couldn't keep up with all the dosing. To the point where I actually had to remove the huge Montipora I had in there. That was one of the biggest culprits. That thing was just, not only was it taking a lot of room, it was just sucking up alkalinity, along with the new brush algae, which was also causing the problem. Finally, just removed it, right? Using all this product basically just threw my tank way out of whack. So the way I ended up resolving things is basically stopping everything I was doing, and basically went to water changes and Vibrant. I actually went using Vibrant because after the whole ChemiClean stuff, things got that actually threw my tanks way out of balance. Then it was like I had a field of green hair algae, and it was everywhere. It was on everything. Manual moving it. Like I was in my tank, like I was just daily, just weeding it out. No matter how much I would take out, it seems like I take out. It was like I didn't do anything. It was entangling in corals, acros. It basically killed. It just got on acros and just suffocated the hell out of them. I probably say I lost probably 90% of it. My zoanthus though, freaking loved it. They freaking exploded. They're like, nutrients? Oh hell yeah, this is what we're about. They freaking exploded. They just started just going rampant. The acros though, wasn't having it. I had a gold hammer in there. Done. Like, I had my and I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna take the camera off the tripod and get closer and show you some things. But like, basically, what I did to resolve this issue was basically doing water changes twice a week. It's a 40-gallon tank, so I would do 10-gallon water changes twice a week. Dosing vibrant twice a week, 4 milliliters, 4 milliliters twice a week, and that's basically whole lot of manual removal, and that's what it's kept doing. Months after doing this, I finally, I could say I beat the hair allergy, but one of the secret weapons I added to this tank that helped take out, and mind you, the red brush allergy still grows on the tank, but I added a secret weapon in there. So I was throwing in crabs, snails. Hopefully, I need something. I'm praying, like, please, something just eat this stuff. Like, whatever it is, eat it. Nothing's touching it. I go to my LFS and I'm looking at stuff, and I'm like, I'm looking at all these creepy crawlies, the ones we love so much, and I see tuxedo urchins. I'm like, so I talk to my LFS. He's like, oh yeah, they're great at eating just about anything. Like they love coralline algae too. I'm like, I could use that because my coralline algae is killing my alg. I don't mind that. So they were tiny little guys, and now they're pretty sizable now, and they basically ate all this red brush algae. I call it red brush algae. I don't know if it is. It's some advanced form of coralline algae because it only grew on the coralline algae. It grew on no other surface except for on top of the coralline algae, as if it was feeding off the coralline algae and taking it over. And it never grew on any corals, anything like that. And that's what I freak out over. Completely stupid. But I learned my lesson. The urchins do a great job. They actually eat. My rocks look kind of white. It's because the urchins, they scrape down. They scrape down to the bone, like, if you know what I mean. Like, they just get down into it. So I'm loving them. So I had 3 in there, and I don't mind them. They're doing the work. And that red brush algae, every once in a while, I see little tufts of it comes up, and it is what it is. I'm at this point. Like I said, it's been in my tank since I was running my Evo when I first started reefing. So at this point, what little I have left, it'll be there. And matter of fact, it's a snack for the urchins. So that's it. It is what it is. But right now, let me get you off the tripod and get you a little closer look and see what I got going on right now. So this is what the tank looks like currently. Let me give you the top-down view. Everything got decimated. You can see the red planet there is growing back over all the dead skeleton that got decimated by. You can see there's some gross areas. Get out of here. Gross areas. All that is dead. Dead skeleton. Red planet is a fast grower, so I'm hoping that it'll grow over the dead skeleton, repopulate itself. That's part of the original bubblegum digi. The pirate fell off, so I put it there, and it's growing back there. And as you can see, it's growing back over. These are fast growers. I think those are the only thing that survived, or anything that were pretty much fast growers. Everything else got decimated. This one is a really fast grower, and it was the lower base of it was just blanketed. I kept pulling it out, ripping it off. It just kept growing back over it. Right now, it's split apart in a couple parts. I'm gonna frag it some more, put it in my frag tank. So Tosa was fine. That's the only pretty much. That one was fine, along with the zoas. But everything else you see in here, as you can still see, I still have, I got some newer frags in the frag rack. I'll go over what those are at a later video, but just kind of want to show you what I have now in here. All these are all new frags that I had put in later on. You can see where I cut the skeleton of my old macro I had here that was doing really well. Same thing for the Stylopora I had back here. This just got decimated. You can see the base of the old skeleton where it used to be. This tank just got crushed. But I am hopeful with what's to come and what I got in here. We'll see. I got some new acros that will, they're doing actually well. They've been in this frag rack for about 5 weeks, so colors are a little dull due to my low nitrates, but I'm hoping, I'm really hopeful with the green hair algae finally being gone. I'm just gonna make sure I get my keep my phosphates down, get my nitrates up, and just making sure I'm doing things a little bit better now. Definitely keeping a closer eye on things, and definitely I know now not to panic anytime I see something new, and just a lot of lessons learned. A big kick in my butt about these things, and never think, never take things for granted, and always keep an eye on things, because just when you things are going good, you never know. You just never know. The bug might get you. Anyway, this is Fishy Phil. I hope you enjoyed the video. I apologize for such a long video, but I really wanted to guys give you an update on this tank, and I almost was very close to really just taking everything out of this tank and rebooting it, doing a clean reboot. But I decided to stick with it and see if I could push through. I was able to push through. Hope you guys learned some lessons, some things, saw some mistakes I've done, and hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes and not repeat them. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe to the channel. I got more videos coming out. I definitely want to do my next video on my hydro setup for my frag tank downstairs, and the ones I have on my other tanks. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, leave some comments down there, especially if you saw anything that you thought I could have done better or changed up. I definitely want to know. I'm trying to grow in this hobby, like I'm sure all you guys are. That's why you're probably watching this. Fishy Phil, do your research, try things out, see what happens. Later, y'all.